happy day. I hope wherever you are listening from, you are having a wonderful, beautiful, glorious day, afternoon, night. Thank you for coming back to episode 3 of My People, the podcast. I'm so happy to have you here. It can be really helpful for people pleasers to see representations of not always necessarily people pleasing in like the whole form of it, but at least kind of people pleasing tendencies or people pleasing moments in the media. So sometimes we can connect with real live people, sometimes we can connect with people in our families. Sometimes we can connect with our favorite fictional characters. We can see them face certain kind of struggles, see how they overcame those struggles, and it helps us create self-awareness in ourselves and remind us that we are not alone. So that's going to be the focus of today's episode. I'm going to talk to you about a couple of fictional characters that I really like, that I really saw some of my people pleaser tendencies or behaviors in them. And it's really awesome kind of as I've grown to kind of look back and be like, wow, yeah, I definitely used to do that. I can kind of see that. And it can kind of be funny at this point, but it can also be eye-opening and help you kind of gain some perspective and help you move forward in your journey and being honest with yourself about your behaviors and how those are not serving you. So I am Anna. I am the Heart-Centered Woman Coach. I coach on all things boundaries, identity, and people pleasing. And if you are struggling with trying to figure out whether or not you are a people pleaser, I definitely recommend you go back and listen to episode 1 if you haven't yet. That is where I talk about the 5 red flags of what a people pleaser is. And again, like I said in this episode, I'm not saying that these people are people pleasers because I don't really feel like I have the right to tell someone, even if it's a fictional character, that they are a people pleaser. But I can say that, okay, this is a people pleasing behavior or a tendency that other people pleasers can probably connect with. Afterwards, I definitely invite you to share some of your characters, and I recommend sticking to fictional. I got some recommendations to kind of think about real life people, and I was going to do that, but then I don't really want to insult anyone or make assumptions about anyone. So fictional characters we can tear apart as much as we want because they're not real. So I think they're perfect for this exercise. However, if you do find yourself connecting with someone who is real, and you've learned a lesson from the way that you have seen them portrayed on a reality show or a documentary or on their own social media or whatever else, feel free to share in the comments like what moment it was that created this eye opener for you and how you learned more about yourself in the process, and how seeing them and the way they behave has helped you create more self-awareness around yourself and helped you through your journey and kind of overcoming people pleasing. So the 2 people I'm going to talk about today is, the first one is, her name is Ingrid, and she is from Partner Track, which is a show on Netflix. And spoiler alert, if you haven't watched it and you do want to watch it, I am going to talk about this character. I'm going to do my best not to actually spoil the show, but I can't make any promises. I don't think I'm giving away too much, but who knows? But I really, really, really loved this character. I feel like she has so many different qualities that I recognize in myself and I recognize in a lot of other people pleasers that I work with and that I'm friends with, and just what I know about all people pleasing is. And so Ingrid is a woman who is on the partner track at her firm. And from the outside looking in, she looks very accomplished, which is very common for a lot of people pleasers. A lot of people pleasers can be overachievers because they're so focused on making everyone happy around them that they kind of transfer that over into their success in life. Like, for instance, Ingrid is the child of immigrants, and she is reminded of how hard her parents have worked to create this opportunity for her to live in this country, to have all that that entails. And as a result, pleasing them is kind of going on this journey and achieving and having success and having all that that means. She has a beautiful apartment, a wonderful job. And so on the outside looking in, it looks like she's got it all together, when in reality, that's not necessarily the case. And she has a lot of pressures from her family to kind of sacrifice herself. And she is working in an office where it is male dominant, which is something else that a lot of women who are people pleasing can kind of relate to. When you work in an environment where men are constantly dismissing you and talking down to you and acting like you have nothing to contribute and talking over you and mistaking you for the help, women and people of color can definitely relate to that. And that's another great point. People pleasing is so complex and kind of carries over into all these other avenues as far as like the motivations for why we people please. And whether you are a full out people pleaser, or you're just someone who can relate to some of the people pleasing tendencies, some of those motivations can be because of how we were raised, or just simply the demands that society has put on you. And so this is a great example of that, of her working in this male dominated organization where it's really like a boys club. You really see the boys club and how guys are able to get away with more simply because of the connections they have and not necessarily the hard work that they've contributed. She comes to a point in the movie, or in the series, it's not a movie, series, where she's on this journey for partner track, and it's kind of coming to like the bubbling up of like the climax of the series, and she finds herself literally reading a speech that she did not write and that she does not agree with, simply because it's what her boss wants. And I don't know what can get more people pleasing than that. You can tell that she feels uncomfortable with it in the moment of when she's reading this speech, but she still carries through with the speech because she wants to do whatever it takes to make her boss happy. And like, I think about myself and how many times I've gone along with things, said things, picked complete and total like degrees and like education and jobs and all these things, trying to please someone else and going along with someone else's plan for me because I lost my own voice in this attempt to kind of be this perfect persona, this perfect person. And so I could really relate to that. Like, she even says in the movie at one point that she can't say no. Like, she admits that she's saying things she doesn't agree with. She's not being there for her friends in the way she would like to. She's making all these kind of choices that don't really fit with who she really is at her core, what her core values and her core identity is. And she literally can't say no. Like, I mean, how crazy is that? Like, to think about, you're moving along in life and you literally can see yourself doing things that truly don't fit who you are and how you want to show up. And at the same time, you can't say no. I mean, how many people can relate to that? You know, just finding yourself in a situation where it's like, you just waking up and this isn't the job you wanted, this isn't the life you wanted, and yet you can't say no. The pressure around that is just, you know, crazy. And I really encourage people to stop and get off the crazy train because life is too short to constantly live it for other people. Like, it's really hard, obviously, to take a step back from everything that you've had and everything you've done, especially if you've been working so hard and you might feel like, well, I've been in this for so long, it would be a waste to throw it away at this point. But if you're truly not happy, do it. Do it. Like, just because you've been miserable for 10 years doesn't mean you need to continue to be miserable for another 15. Which one is a bigger waste? So that's pretty much Ingrid. I really, like I said, I really connected with her, having this accomplishments from the outside looking in. You know, when I was at the height of my people pleasing, I had a master's degree, I had a great job, my daughter was excelling in all these kind of things. And, you know, no one really knew how much I was really struggling with, like, a loss of identity and just a struggle in really recognizing who I was and standing up for myself and making myself feel small and just making so many decisions based on what other people told me because I was just way too scared to stand up for myself. And, you know, the societal pressures, the family pressures that come with that. It's a lot. So I loved this episode. I really liked, or this series, I really liked Ingrid, and I liked the journey that she went on and kind of finding herself and finally deciding to get off the crazy train and let go of everything that she thought was important to her and thought that she was going to have, and instead choose what really truly mattered to her and what really aligned with her values and who she was at her core. So the second character I'm going to talk about is from a wonderful movie that I watched with my friends and watched alone, and it's kind of like just become this, I guess, cultural movie in some ways because everybody practically knows about it. It's after a book, and it's called He's Just Not That Into You, or He's Not That Into You. Is it He's Just Not That Into You? Okay, who cares? It doesn't matter. But I want to talk about Gigi. So you can see a lot of, I think, people-pleasing tendencies in a lot of the characters in this movie. However, there's this one point that really sticks out to me that I love so much. And it's when Gigi is at the party for this guy who she has realized that she likes. So I think it's his birthday. And he has this party at his house, and he's like super distant with her and super nonchalant. And she's at his party acting like she is the co-host. She's like, yeah, you know, I'm so into this guy. And, you know, she's acting like the co-host. She's helping people out with their drinks. And she ends up staying at the party all freaking night. Like, she's helping to clean up. She's, you know, corralling people out of the party. She's acting like a full-blown co-host. And it gets to be, I think it's like 4 a.m. And the guy is sitting on the couch playing video games with another woman. And Gigi is like clearly getting irritated because she's like, okay, the party's over. Like, I want to be acknowledged by this man that I like. I want to be able to have time with him because in my head, I have decided we are a thing. And I'm doing all this for him. And I am ready to be appreciated. And the guy gives her the cold shoulder, of course, because he never asked her to do any of that. And they end up having like a blow up and she leaves and she's really upset. And what I really want to point out there that is really a people pleasing behavior is the motivation behind what Gigi did. It's not necessarily that the problem isn't that Gigi decided to help out at a party, at a person who she knows, friend, whatever you want to call him. It's not a problem that she decided to help out at this party. The problem is that the reason why Gigi did it, she did it simply because she thought that by doing this, it was going to make him like her. It was all about being liked. It wasn't about doing something out of the kindness of her heart. It was about, I'm going to show you that I'm going to do this and this and this and this and give you all of this effort and all of this energy. And at the end, you're going to like me, right? Right? And that's the people pleaser behavior. That's a problem. It's kind of actually manipulative. It's saying, look at all I do for you. Now like me. And it just doesn't work like that. And so her sacrificing herself and doing something that she doesn't actually want to do, that isn't from her heart, that isn't genuine with her character or her values, and doing it solely for the purpose of being liked, of finally getting a boyfriend, of finally being appreciated. Like, that's also the issue here too. It's like she's so desperate for that outside validation. I need this guy to show me that I'm lovable, that I'm desirable, that I'm beautiful, that I'm all these things. And that is the problem with this situation. It's her motivations are all wrong. And of course, she has to learn that she is all of those things on her own. Start seeking that internal validation of connecting with yourself and knowing and trusting that you are all of those things without some random guy having to tell you, without staying up until 4 a.m. and taking out the trash and doing all the dishes and doing all this stuff just to get someone to tell you that you're worthy. That is the problematic thing. And I definitely can relate to Gigi too, okay? I definitely have had some moments where I have done things for other people with the wrong intentions. Like, not even just romantically, but with friends too. When I was younger, I had really low self-esteem and I really sought outside validation so freaking heavy. Like, I went above and beyond for my friends in a unhealthy manner because I needed to be liked, I needed to be loved, and I always felt like the ugly duckling, and like I, had this low self-worth. And it's so empowering and so amazing when you can reach the point where you can decide that you are all of those things without someone else having to tell you that. When we don't put our entire wellness, our entire well-being into the hands of someone else, when we say, you know what, no, I am enough, I am worthy, I am okay, I am beautiful, I am valuable, I am lovable, I am desirable, I am smart, I am intelligent, I am hardworking, I am capable, I can be successful, I can have and do whatever I want, and I can know and trust that that is true for me regardless of what other people are saying. Other people co-signing, that's great. Like, I love, like, I wake up and I'm like, yeah, I look good. I put on my little earrings and my little whatever, and I'm like, yeah, I look good. And you telling me I look good too, like, I still like that. If you see me today, tell me, like, I look good. I love it. But I don't need it to feel beautiful. I can wake up, look in the mirror and be like, damn girl, you're looking good. And that's a beautiful place to be. And I hope that happens for all of you. And I hope that, kind of being able to look at other people, some of your favorite characters, and really connecting to the struggles in them and the way they overcame it. And even if they didn't necessarily overcome it in a way that you would have liked, because everything can't be, shown in a movie or a series, but just really recognizing those behaviors in others when you're struggling with that self-awareness in yourself can be really helpful. And it can be helpful because we first have to realize what the struggle is, realize where the problem is, so that then we can address it and we can move forward with it. I really like both of those characters. I probably could go on and tell other characters, but those are two of my favorite because I feel like they kind of hit a soft spot for me in my history. And I hope that they kind of connect with you. If you haven't seen either of those, I definitely recommend them both, if nothing more than just to look at it and say, okay, I can see how people pleasing as a behavior is holding me back in life and it's keeping me back from what I really want. I can see how I am engaging in the world and behaving in this way and not getting the results I want because my intentions and my motivations behind it aren't actually in alignment with my values. If we want to engage in the world and get back from the world what we want, we have to have our motivations and our actions be in alignment with our actual values and our authenticity and the core identity of who we are. That is how we can show up authentically and then receive back authentically and receive back exactly what we need because we're showing up as who we really are. So, in the comments below, that is your homework for today. I would love to hear about a character. And if you want to say a real person, maybe change the names to protect the innocent if it's a real person. But comment in the YouTube comments and let me know, like, what characters stood out for you? What was kind of a turning point for you when it kind of like gave you an epiphany, like a aha? You were like, oh my God, that's me. I do that. And I do that. It's funny. It's like sometimes seeing your behavior in other people like actually irritates the hell out of you. Like, especially like as you're in the recovery mode, like as you're kind of stepping away from that behavior, when you start seeing other people do it, you're like, I can't stand that person. That person gets on my nerves. It might even make you angry because you're like, is that what I sound like? Is that how I act? I don't even freaking like that. And that's a really great sign. It's a really, really great sign that you are progressing and moving along in this journey and moving away from people pleasing. So I hope this episode was helpful for you. I have some exciting news. I have some co-hosts, some interviewees, some guests that will be coming to join me on the podcast because, like I said, My People, the podcast is all about community building with people who are people pleasers or have people pleaser behaviors or tendencies and want to connect with others so that we can really take this journey from outside validation, living for others, and learn how to trust ourselves, make decisions for ourselves, love on ourselves first, seek internal validation, and then validation from our higher power if you have one, and learn how to show up authentically and do the things we love without the fear of guilt, rejection, shame, hurt, any of that stuff. And so my story might not connect with you in the way that someone else who struggled with people pleasing. And so I want to be able to bring other people who struggle with people pleasing onto the podcast so that you may be able to connect with them. And that might be your aha moment, or that might be your epiphany. And that might be like, oh, okay, I get it now. And now I can see a way out. Now I can see a solution thanks to hearing that person. So I have some really great friends and I'm so excited to introduce you to them. And I have some other great episodes coming up along the way. So make sure you tune in. And one final thought, if you are, once you identify with the character that you saw on whatever episode and you've shared it in the YouTube comments, tell me what boundary from episode 2, if you haven't listened to the boundaries episode, that's episode 2 right before this, go back and listen to it. Let me know what boundary you're going to put in place to kind of help you in that journey from moving away from the behaviors that you identified with this character and moving forward in your recovery from people pleasing. All right, thank you for being here today. I cannot wait to see you next time. Have a great day. Bye.